Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Command Core studio. Welcome to the show. So, on today's episode, I've got a bit of a different episode for you. Something really exciting that I just learned about. Let's jump into a brand new format that you can play right now. Well, I mean, I would assume you have these cards already. You probably do, and if not, you can get them incredibly cheaply because we're going to be talking about the basic land game. Yeah, this article that came out from ultimateguard.com, it's a really cool thing that, like, I would have never considered, and I love these kind of, hey, okay, here's a unique way to use your Magic cards. And again, ones that you literally just have lying around, and oh, by the way, the ones that, like, everyone has just lying around, and that just could be at your LGS, and you'd be like, hey, can I, like, use 50 of your lands? And they're like, sure, here you go. Yeah, okay, what other format can let you just do that? Okay, the basic land game, rules, gameplay, and strategy, Magic the Gathering from Skura. Thank you. 5-minute read. Here we go. So I'm going to read through this and just kind of talk about the potential of this format. I personally actually haven't tried this out yet. It is going to be tried at my next game night. Absolutely. I will be bringing this fully sleeved lands deck and be like, let's play. And they're like, what? Yes. Cool. All right. I love competitive Magic a lot, but I have to admit there are so many fascinating casual variants like Pack Wars or Dan that it's hard not to try and eventually not to enjoy them. They're great as standalone formats, but also as something to do between matches during a tournament. Absolutely. And that's kind of the fun thing about, again, Dan, or if you haven't seen Slime Against Humanity, my episode on that, make sure you check that out. Alec from my playgroup made an amazing variant of Dan that is all around Slime Against Humanity. It is so much fun. And it's really hard to beat Alec at it. So if you ever are at a Command Fest or whatever and Alec is there, ask to play that and see if you can take Alec down. All right. Today I want to talk about my personal favorite, the basic land game. I found an obscure Reddit thread from a couple of years ago describing its rules. Since then, I put hours and hours into it, refining the rules to the point where I find the game most enjoyable, but also most interesting gameplay-wise. At the end, I'll plug a link to me explaining the rules on the video, but also showcasing a sample game. If you want to try the absolute cheapest way to enjoy Magic, read on. Again, as a budget player, I very much appreciate this. Literally, the cheapest way to enjoy Magic, yeah, that is this. And I will put a link to this article so you can find the link to the video, etc., etc. So if you want to watch that, watch it. Basic land game, the premise, Magic the Gathering. The main idea behind the game is to play with basic lands only. Awesome. It makes it trivial to assemble a deck in the moment, as you can very easily grab some lands from the draft land station and start enjoying splendid gameplay. If you decide that you want to take it a tad more seriously, you can prepare your own decks with the basic lands of your choice. I personally love my beta basic deck. The cards used are properly double sleeved in katanas. Yeah, I mean, you can very much go whatever direction you want with this. Obviously, you just grab miscellaneous lands, which is probably what I'd be doing. Or, yeah, if you've got, love the full art lands or whatnot, go whatever, go crazy if you want to. You could, spend and make a very, very expensive basic land deck if you want to, or you can get the cheapest one possible again. And I personally, as a budget player, we're going cheap. Basic land game, the rules, Magic the Gathering. Let's get the rules on how to play this format. The goal. Your goal is to assemble either one of each basic land, aka domain, okay, there you go, or 5 of a single basic on the board. So you're either going wide or going tall, essentially. So 5 forests, or 5 swamps, 5 islands, 5 plains, 5 mountains, whatever it's going to be, or 1 of each. So do that. Deck composition. Your starting deck is 10 of each basic, so 50 cards total. There you go. At the beginning of the game, you draw 5 cards, thematically for a format with 5 basics. So there you go. We are breaking off from the 7. We are going to just 5. You draw 1 turn, except for the person on the play. So again, Commander players out there who are used to the multiplayer, hey, everyone draws on the first turn. Make sure you keep that in mind, okay? You get 1 land drop per turn. There are no mulligans. I mean, that makes sense because you can't be like, well, I didn't get any lands, so I gotta ditch this and, get other ones. Or, oh no, I got all lands. It's like, yeah, you're gonna be getting lands, so there you go. No mulligans, which actually, that will make this game go a lot quicker, right, than your typical game where, like, oh wait, didn't get it. Oh, okay, I didn't get it. Yeah, I need to make sure I get that. Okay, so no mulligans. You're good to go. 1 land drop per turn. That's just standard Magic. All right, basic land game. Abilities of the basic lands, Magic the Gathering. So obviously if it was just literally just play your lands and just keep drawing, that wouldn't be very interesting. It would just be like whoever randomly gets 1 of each or, 5 of 1 just wins. It wouldn't be as fun if we just played lands every turn and nothing happened, would it? Yeah, exactly. Every basic has a very special effect that influences the game. Let's go through them one by one. So a forest, okay? So a forest equals regrowth, basically, okay? In regrowth, as a reminder, is, and ignore the mana symbols, okay? Again, ignore the cost. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. There you go. Basic forests act as a regrowth. When you play a forest, choose a land in the graveyard to put back into your hand. So do so. So it is a recursion spell land, whatever we're going to call it. All right, swamp. Swamp equals Thoughtseize. Very, very spicy. I mean, except I don't think that you're playing with life, so don't worry about that. Anyway, so yeah, Thoughtseize, I should read it really quick. Target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. You lose 2 life. I mean, okay, actually, so again, it is Thoughtseize adjacent. It's more so just like, yeah, it's, hey, look at their hand. And then you can make them discard any land. So again, it is Thoughtseize adjacent. You're not losing the life. It's just basically, hey, I look at your hand. You're going to discard whatever card I want you to discard. It's going to be a land. Mountain. Mountain equals Stone Rain. Yes! Okay, so unlike in Commander, where destroying lands is a no-no, in this format, destroying lands, that's like the only resource on the board. That's the only thing on the board. It's not even really like a resource, really. It's more like a win condition, essentially. So yeah, destroying lands, which equals destroying part of a win condition, that makes sense. That's all you're going to be doing is, yeah, trying to interact with lands. Basic mountains acts as a Stone Rain. When you play a mountain, you target a land in play the opponent has and destroy it. That makes sense. Yeah, destroying your own land wouldn't really make much sense. I can't think of any kind of like a strategy that would really help you if you're like, destroy a land. I guess if you had like a recursion and you wanted like another one as a spell, you could, but apparently just destroy a land opponent has. There you go. Island. Island is a different one where we have Force of Will and Reach the Mist. We'll get back to those 2 cards, what they do. Basic Island has 2 uses, actually, which again is ironic for people being like, what's the most powerful card in Magic? And then the joke is Island, right? And now Island has 2 effects, which there you go. Sounds very Island. If you have an island in hand, you can discard it alongside another land to counter an opposing land drop and its effect. If you play island, you draw a card. Interesting. There are some interesting rules questions arising. Okay, so here we go. So basically, again, Force of Will is pay 1 life, exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost, counter target spell. It's, again, adjacent to that. It's not the exact same. Again, there is no life in this format, and it's not exiling you or discarding. So basically, discard another land, and all of a sudden, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be blue. It doesn't have to be an island, which technically isn't blue anyways. Discard any land, and then basically counter your opponent's land. Cool. Reach the Mist, very simple. Don't worry, that's an arcane spell. It's just draw a card. So you play it, you get that. Do I know what my opponent wants the mountain to destroy before I counter? Yes. Okay, so that one is targeted. Okay? So that one's interesting. Do I know what my opponent wants to force regrowth from the graveyard before I counter? Yes, because that is target as well. But do I know what my opponent wants to Thoughtseize from my hand before I counter? No. And that one makes sense because, again, you have to declare targets for, again, like a Stone Rain or a regrowth. But Thoughtseize is like a resolution. Okay, here we go. It comes down to how normal Magic works. If you put Stone Rain or regrowth on the stack, the opponent would know the targets immediately. If you put Thoughtseize, they wouldn't, as discarding is a part of the resolution. Exactly. So there you go. So it just works like how Magic would work. You know what the targets are for these, the first 2. You do not know it for Thoughtseize because, yeah, you would have to counter that ahead of time anyways in real Magic. In the past, I played Island as Scry 2, but it all been proved to be too weak. Heavily discourage ever deploying Island on the board. Interesting. Okay, so there you go. That's what it used to be. It's been adjusted. Plains. Plains is basically Cloud Shift. Exile target creature control, return to the battlefield under your control. I'm assuming it's not a creature though, right? Basic Plains acts as Ephemerate. When you play a Plains, you target one of your other non-Plains islands and reuse their effect. Interesting. The idea for Plains is to blink was great and made both games more interesting and gave white a proper color identity compared to the other previous opt effect. In relation to Island, the opponent will know which land you want to reuse, but you don't know what you'll do with it. If you target a forest, that is known. What is not known, what you're going to regrowth. So you're basically kind of reusing one of your lands. There you go. To answer a popular doubt, for the sake of clear gameplay, you cannot force a draw by blinking 2 planes continuously. Okay, there you go. That makes sense. So you can't just keep blinking your lands like, well, it's a loop and I have to do it. Okay, there you go. You got to blink something else, basically. So you're just blinking another of your lands. You get its effect again. Very cool. All right, basic land game, gameplay, and strategy, Magic the Gathering. While it might seem like you just play cards left to right, it couldn't be further from the truth. Really contributing to the board is paramount, as it will result in a win. We already can notice key differences between cards. Mountain affects the board directly, while Swamp doesn't. Very true. Swamp affects hand, Mountain affects board. It's also worth noting that every land guarantees some kind of advantage when it enters play. Swamp and mountain take away an opponent's resources, while forest and island generate one for you. And of course, plains, this is just me adding this too, plains is like it could be either depending on what you have in play. Therefore, mount is actually worse resource-wise as you use a land to destroy land that has generated some kind of value, but it's the best tempo-wise as it very directly adds a type for you and deprives the opponent of one. Even though it's a simple game that can play with anyone, even a non-magic person, it embodies classic game theory concepts that manifest throughout. Another example of the non-linearity of this format is how different openers and strategies ought to play out. Going for domain is going to be much different from a mono win. It's unlikely to pull off islands or plains, but if you match up against someone who plays mountains aggressively, force a powerful counter, especially in conjunction with islands as force of will. You can reliably run someone out of cards and play a long game. Moreover, interaction like Mountain and Thoughtseize will shape the game in a certain way. With Mountain, you should consider destroying the land that your opponent won't have a lot of value from playing. If you destroy their plains with 3 other types on the board, they will happily play another one and get a swath of options. But if you're empty-handed and destroy their swamp, they're forced to be playing blank if they want to progress their plan. I'd also like to draw your attention to the fact that you need to achieve one of the 2 conditions to win at any point. For instance, if you have 3 island, 3 mountain, 3 swamp, and 4 forests in play, you're both 1 plains or 1 forest away from winning. In very long games, you can set up double-ended wins so your opponent has a harder time stopping you. That makes sense. Last but not least, being on the play or draw does matter. When on play, you try to trade resources aggressively for tempo with the use of mountains and island counters. However, the opponent would happily island counter as they are the ones with more cards total. Then it comes down to individual play styles, whether both participants such fire off all the islands, the game becomes a top deck fiesta, or play more strategically and sandbag the counters. Conclusion. It is very hard to convey the awesomeness of the format in written form, but once you've played 2 or 3 games, you'll see how the complexity unfolds. You can also catch me almost at any big live Magic events, at which I'm more than happy to battle in basic land game. A lot of creators have also adopted the game and jam it at events. If you'd like to watch me explain a past variant of the game with the video and audio with a sample game, check out the tutorial and Yuji's Instagram here. So again, I will link all of that. Again, a massive, massive, massive thank you for sharing this format, Basic Lands. Again, I never thought that we'd see something like this where it's like just a game with just basic lands. It's absolutely amazing. I guess I never thought we'd see a format like Dandan where it's like, yeah, I built around a derpy fish. Cool. There you go. Or Slime Against Humanity. Again, Alex version of that. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you check that episode out as well. But again, thank you, Skura, for sharing this. Again, I think it's a really cool concept. Again, as a budget player, I very much appreciate, like, hey, just have some like basics lying around. Yeah, you can play a game with that. Like, what? Again, like literally like the cheapest kind of deck you could actually build is just all basics. So there you go. So yeah, whether you're going 99 land commander, which yeah, go for it if you want to. But also, yeah, go for even cheaper than that with 50 lands. And there you go, all basics. It seems like a lot of fun. A very, very cool side format to play. Again, either in between games or just, yeah, go to your play group and say, hey, does everyone want to try this out? Really, really cool to do. So yeah, make sure you check out the link in the description below. Check out the episode on Slime Against Humanity. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.